give Ms. Thomas the chance to fill the rest of the time. Thank you.
Sure. Minister, you said that this bill is going to go after platforms. Platforms are used by new media content creators. For those platforms to abide by your regulation, those platforms will then have to regulate the users. Hence, user-generated content is in fact captured by this bill. Can you help me understand if that works a different way?
Well, it's very simple. It's the platforms that are regulated.
So
CRTC
it's users that use those platforms,
The CRTC is not
sir.
interested in looking at what is in the program. Can you imagine the CRTC looking at millions, billions in a year of? It's impossible.
Okay.
That's not what
so,
it is.
Minister,
it's about
is
making sure
it
there's working content.
users that use those platforms? Or who uses those platforms? Do animals use those platforms? Do people use those platforms? New media creators use those platforms?
Everyone, you, me,
Users
everyone.
use those platforms. So if those users are using those platforms that are regulated, is there a chance that that regulation then could be put on those people so that they're abiding by it?
No, it's not about the users.
It's not about the users. So it stops
it's
at
not
the
about the
platform
users.
somehow magically. It doesn't ever get passed down to the users. No
Well, a
behavior is
platform-
expected of them.
You're talking about streamers, right? The streaming platforms. You're talking about the Netflix and the Disney and others. That's what you're talking about?
Is that your definition of platform?
The streamers are those big companies, yes. And they have to have an impact on the Canadian culture.
Will YouTube be a platform?
In parts of the commercial content, it will, yes.
So YouTube users would be
some
captured by
people-
this bill.
Because sometimes YouTube can be used as a substitute for for Spotify, for example. We've used that example many times in the past.
Right.
But it has to be commercial content. So it's not about going after the content. CRTC is not interested. They don't want to know what users put. They're not going to say, oh, your video is good or not good, or you should have this or more than that. No. It's just about to see what qualifies as commercial content, because at the end of the day, the revenues generated will be depending on that.
Sure. Oh, okay. So now, sorry. So that's not actually a part of the bill, that there would be any sort of dependency on revenue. Now you're introducing that. So is that an amendment that you're planning to make to the bill then?
The bill is totally about contributing to Canadian content.
So are you saying that a content generator would have to bring in a certain amount of revenue in order to be captured by this bill?
No.
No, it doesn't matter how much you make, you'll be captured.
I think you're listening to whatever you want to listen to. I mean, the bill is very simple. It's about the streamers contributing to Canadian culture, right? That's what it is. And then making sure that we find our stories online. That's what the bill is all about.
So, Minister, if your intention is not to capture individual users, then why don't you take 4.2 out of the bill altogether and just make that very clear?
Because there's content, commercial content, that does exactly the same on Spotify. So you find that content on YouTube, and you find that also on Spotify. 66% of Kenyans go on YouTube to listen to music. And that is important. It's a very important amount. There's a very important number there.
Okay, so how are you going to define commercial content?
We said it. Those are three things.
What are the three things?
Revenues, they generate revenues. Then
in this bill, there's a line about revenue?
4.2, if you read it.
It says a specific amount of revenue?
And that
No.
is...
Sorry.
No, I know it doesn't.
Because the CRTC takes the three things. Revenue, do you find it elsewhere? And also if it has a code, and they will draft regulations based on that. And that's what people have to...
Everything has a code, Minister.
And that's
everything that uses music has a code.
And that's
so you
the
just
time
said
for that
that everything can be captured.
Point of order,
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. There was about an extra 25 seconds, which I will add on to each other first round as well.